Hey, welcome back to The Outdoor Life. My name is Chris Cargolino, and today we are going to be talking about the InKee Falcon, which is an electronic gimbal for action cameras. Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, well, wait a minute, I see you got a GoPro 9 on there, and GoPro 9s have awesome stability, and they do. But there's one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that to get that awesome stability, you have to have a cropped image. So you're not getting a true 4K image out of your GoPro 9. And I'll explain that here in just a minute, but basically what it has to do, it's all electronic stabilization. So you've got your 4K image right here, but it has to crop it in even smaller so that as you're moving, it can move the corners up and down, side to side, back and forth. So it's going to be moving around like this, and it has to have room to do that because it can't crop above it. And also, you can't run stabilization in 5K, which these new cameras are capable of doing. However, with an electronic gimbal, all those problems go out the door. You can run 5K. You don't have to worry about your image not being a true 4K image, but you can get the incredible stabilization out of it. The other thing is that the GoPro does well, but it doesn't do well going this way. Okay, so it's only a 2-axis electronic stabilization. So as you're moving forward, it's going to point down and point up, and it's the 9. If horizon's on, it's going to try and keep the horizon well. But if you go with the 8 is going to have issues with the horizon as well if you tilt too far to the left or the right. And that also goes into turning when you go to turn one direction or another. So there's a lot of reasons why electronic stabilization is still warranted, even in the GoPro 9. And I'm going to show you some video that's going to explain that. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you some basic features on here. Now, the one thing that I did struggle with is that there was no directions. I couldn't find the directions anywhere. So I wasn't really sure what all the buttons did and how to get the remote, these extra buttons right here. I didn't know how to get these turned on in order to control the camera. But what I found out was it was really basically simple. I just went into the GoPro, I went into connections, and I pretended like this was a remote, and it worked. So now it actually functions. The other thing that I want to show you is that I've seen some videos online, not with just this electronic gimbal, but some inexperienced people with electronic gimbals. They don't understand that these have to be balanced. As you can tell right now, this is turned off, but when it comes back, my camera is very balanced. So see how it's trying to get back to its original spot? So if your camera will hold where it needs to be, then it's balanced. And it's really super simple to balance it. And let me show you an example. So if I pull the 9 off, and we go with a smaller one, let's say we go with the 8. Actually, let's go all the way down to the session. So I'm going to throw the session on here real quick. Now when I turn it, as you can see, it wants to fall over to the side. So this is not balanced. And the reason you want to balance this is because this is a lightweight device, and all gimbals are pretty lightweight, but it takes motor in order to get it over here. The more motor it gives, the harder they have to work, the less your battery is going to last. So if we can get it balanced right out the gate, then that's going to help quite a bit. It's also going to help with some shaking. If the motors don't have to work as hard, your battery's going to last longer, and it's going to give you a much smoother gimbal action. So let's take a look at the GoPro 8. So perfectly balanced. We're going to unscrew this right here. So now when I bring it over, you can see it's not balanced at all. So we're going to loosen this up a little bit. We're going to move it all the way in for starters and see where we're at. So it's jumping forward and to the side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up just a hair to move the weight back. Okay, now you can see my vertical is good. So now I've got to get it further this way because it wants to lean over here. So I'm going to come back and work my way out. So I'm going to come over here to just a little bit. And it doesn't really take much to balance these. It's really designed well to stay within the parameters of what the GoPros are doing. So there, so see it's still tilting just a little bit, so we need to come out just a little bit more. We'll come back to here. As you can see now, it's staying where I need it to stay. So the closer you get it to balance, the less the motors have to work. The less the motors have to work, the easier it's going to be on the battery, and it's also easier going to be to actually stabilize it. So let's take a look and see how well this works. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. Go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so now we're stabilized. Now you can move it and point it wherever you want it to go. You can also double click, and that's going to reset it right back to 0. So how well do these work? See, now the GoPro 9 is not going to do that. I can turn it, I can keep it straight, I can go down, back and forth. It's collecting all of that and keeping everything right where it needs to be. I can even go into flashlight mode, or I can even turn it and go down a little bit, or I can even spin it around in selfie mode, and I can have it right on my face the whole time. And with the GoPro 9, I can see myself in the little screen right there. So as you can see, it's going to hold it well, and it's going to keep it right where I need it to be. Whether I'm biking, skateboarding, hiking, whatever it is that I'm doing, it's going to keep it right there. It also has the ability to work somewhat as a tripod to get some awesome shots. So if say I'm sitting on a bridge, I can sit here and I can point it over to the side, and maybe I want to pan all the way across. It's got a progressive joystick, so I can sit here and move it nice and slow and get that shot as it's going all the way across. Bam. I can also go up and down. So if I want to get a shot where it's panning down to you, so I can start from the top here, and then I can slowly bring it down right back to center. So you've got a lot of functionality in what this can do. But at the end of the day, this is your stabilizer that you need for your action cameras because it actually works. So now let's take a look at some live video in a variety of different situations where I put this through the paces. All right, now we're gonna do some testing with the different GoPros, and we're using an electric skateboard out on a path. We're gonna see how well this gimbal works. So right now it is in selfie mode, and as you can see, I'm moving around pretty good. I gotta keep my eye on the trail here, but we'll switch it back around here in a few minutes and then go into the regular mode. But as you can see, even as I'm moving, it does pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip it around. This is the GoPro 9, and we'll see how well it does. So one of the curious things that I had was on the map, there was this little finger that came off of the lake. I wanted to see how close it was to the actual Horseshoe Campground, because on the state map, it showed it, but on Google Maps, it didn't show any water there. It showed it was only just grasslands. So I'm gonna come over here. Let's see, right there behind me, you can see my camper. So I'm just gonna cross the street and we're gonna walk through these woods right here, because I do see a lake over here and we're gonna check it out. There's not an official trail down this way. I wouldn't want to bring a longboard over here, but I was just curious about the water.